Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
What caused the collision?
The defendant here abruptly cut across 2 lanes of traffic to turn into a small rural street. There was no turn signal. He just pulled across, which caused Mary Ann Kennedy, the plaintiff witness, to slam on her brakes.
Your witness here?
Yes.
He was ping-ponging. He was driving fast, slowing down.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. You want him to pay $628?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Colin Controy claims a reckless driver swerved into his lane, causing an accident, and says his car was damaged as a result. Mr. Controy is suing Luke Brown in the amount of $1,568.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
Get up at his office. Mr. Controy, sir, you are suing because of damage you believe was caused by Mr. Brown.
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
All right, prove your case, sir.
Well, Your Honor, most rear-end collision cases are caused by the second vehicle.
Correct.
But this is not one of those cases.
And you were the second vehicle in this rear-end collision.
Yes, I was.
So you're making a caveat as it relates to your scenario.
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Talk to me.
Okay. Well, let me set the scene. We live in a small village in New Hampshire.
All right, you're from New Hampshire, and
Yes.
you were driving in New Hampshire on the same road as Mr. Brown, correct?
Yes, I was.
Mr. Brown, when you were driving on the road, do you recall seeing Mr. Controy's car?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, what do you recall seeing?
I recall seeing him following way too closely to another car in front of him that he...
Now, were you in front of the car that he ended up rear-ending, or were you behind him?
I was next to them. I was trying to pass both these vehicles.
All right, I know we have a display and we're going to talk further, but initially you were driving to the left or the right of the other vehicles?
I was on the left-hand lane.
You were on the left-hand lane, and they were on the right side?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Controy, do you recall seeing Mr. Brown's car?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
What do you remember that stood out, if anything, about that vehicle?
He was driving very erratically, Your Honor. He was speeding up and slowing down.
Well, hold on a moment. When you say erratic, meaning in terms of his pacing?
Yes, his pacing.
He would sort of stop and start and go back and forth?
He wasn't maintaining a natural speed. And it was snowing.
You recall the speed limit on the road, sir?
55, Your Honor.
It was 55, and I'm sorry, you added that it was snowing at the time.
It was lightly snowing.
Light snow.
And this was evening. Visibility.
What time of day are we talking
about 6 p.m., Your Honor.
All right, at that point, was it still visible outside, or was it starting to get dark?
It was starting to get dark.
All right, but it was still visible. Yes?
Yes, it was.
All right, so it's visible, light snow, 6 p.m., 55. What were you going, sir, in terms of the speed limit?
I was going 55, Your Honor.
Was Mr. Brown maintaining the same speed as you, sir?
No, he was not.
How fast would you estimate he was going?
I would say anywhere, I'm not really sure, but between 65 and 40.
That's inaccurate, Your Honor.
Wait, I'm sorry. He would get as high as 65 and as low as 40. All right, so 40 to 65.
I never broke 55. Mr. Brown,
let me go back. I'm sorry?
I never broke 55, Your Honor.
All right. At one point, did you go as slow as 40 miles an hour?
I did.
Okay. You're saying that his estimate, Mr. Controy's, is off. It was more between 40 and 55.
Yes. I never broke the speed limit of 55.
At any point, do you recall passing Mr. Controy's vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. If he were going the speed limit, is it fair to say that you were maybe going a little faster and then breaking back down to the 55?
Well, he was not maintaining the speed limit the whole time,
That
Your
is
Honor.
incorrect.
He would be slowing down in accordance to the car in front of him because he was following way too closely to that vehicle.
There was a car in front of Mr. Controy that as that vehicle slowed, you noticed he slowed as well.
Yes.
At no point, though, was it to the extent to whereas both cars were behind you?
No.
You were always maintaining either side by side or slightly ahead of them?
Yeah, slightly.
Okay, fair enough.
Very slightly.
All right. I have a sense of what this looks like visually. You didn't collide with Mr. Brown's vehicle.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. What caused the collision?
The defendant here abruptly cut across 2 lanes of traffic to turn into a small rural street. There was no turn signal, no time, not letting us know or anything. He just pulled across, which caused Mary Ann Kennedy, the plaintiff witness, to slam on her brakes.
Your witness here?
Yes.
She's nodding her head. Ma'am, come on up. I'm sorry, your last name was?
Kennedy.
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 All right. Miss Kennedy, you were also on the road with Mr. Controy and Mr. Brown.
Yes, Your Honor.
Prior to this incident occurring, had you ever met Mr. Controy?
No. We live in the same community. It's a tight-knit community,
Okay.
so we know...
But you didn't know him?
We're not friends. We don't know each other personally.
Had you ever seen him before?
Just around schoolyards. Our kids go to the same school.
Okay.
So,
Were you from the same community?
Yes.
Had you seen Mr. Controy before?
No.
Had you seen Miss Kennedy before?
No.
All right. You had not had any sort of contact or interaction with them at all?
No.
Coming up on America's Court.
Where was his vehicle in relation to you?
well, this is why we're in this situation. This is cause and effect. It's caused by poor judgment. The situation is this. He was ping-ponging. He was driving fast, slowing down.
America's Court is back with the case of Colin Controy, who is suing Luke Brown for property damage.
Where were you headed?
I was headed to my friend's house. We were trying to catch a later movie. He just recently broke up with his girlfriend, and he really needed me.
And where were you coming from?
I was coming from the gym.
You were going from the gym to the friend's house?
Yes.
For a social evening?
Yes.
Once you arrived at that friend's house, correct?
Yes.
Miss Kennedy, where were you leaving from?
I was on my way home.
Okay, you were heading home from where?
I was just at a friend's house.
All right.
So I was in no hurry. The weather was a little iffy. It wasn't super visible, so I was taking my time.
You were at a friend's house and you were going from the friend's house home.
Right.
Mr. Controy, where were you going?
I was headed home from work to home, Your Honor.
You had been at work and you were heading home.
Yes.
Okay, I got where everyone's coming from. Miss Kennedy.
Yes.
You noticed Mr. Controy's vehicle behind you?
Yes, at a safe distance. We were both driving 55.
Well, see, that's a legal conclusion.
Pardon?
That's a legal conclusion when you say at a safe distance. You don't have to try to score any points. I'm just trying to get the information.
Yeah.
Because that's very subjective because ultimately, Mr. Controy rear ends you.
Right, but Your Honor,
there was no one in front of you.
Right, but
in the lane that you were driving in did not have any obstructions or any other vehicles there?
None whatsoever. But I felt safe in this weather that wasn't very visible.
How fast
with the
were you
distance
driving?
that he was behind myself.
Well, when you're driving forward, you're not really paying attention to who's behind you anyway, which is why typically, unless it's a situation where a driver in front of you suddenly stops or they go in reverse.
Right.
There are circumstances where rear-ending someone doesn't necessarily conclude that you're at fault. You didn't do any of those things. You were just driving.
I was driving at a safe pace. I was aware.
How fast were you going, sir?
I was doing 55 miles per hour, but Your Honor, I was aware of the safe distance because the weather wasn't so good. I was looking at all my mirrors.
Okay.
So I was aware of my surroundings.
If you're driving forward, you're not necessarily being focused on Mr. Controy behind you.
I could see through my...
Right, but I'm saying it's not like you're constantly looking up behind you unless you thought someone was following you.
No,
or this person was intentionally keeping up with you.
Right.
You're more focused on what's ahead of you. And Mr. Brown was not in front of your vehicle.
No.
Where was his vehicle in relation to yours?
Well, this is why we're in this situation. This is cause and effect. It's caused by poor judgment.
Mr. Brown was in a vehicle. You saw his vehicle.
Yes.
At some point, his vehicle was to the right of you.
To the left.
Okay. In other words, if you're driving here, you're saying he was on this side of you.
I'm on the right-hand lane.
You're in the right-hand lane. He's in the left-hand lane.
And the defendant is in the left-hand lane.
And Mr. Controy is behind you also in the right-hand lane.
Right.
Okay.
And the situation is this. He was ping-ponging. He was driving fast, slowing down. Driving fast, slowing down. I couldn't make out what he was trying to do, so I maintained my pace.
Okay.
Because I couldn't predict if he was trying to go in front of me or...
Just tell me what you saw, man.
That's what I saw.
Okay.
Him coming up to me and then pulling back.
And you indicated that you, at some point, were slowing down and going forward.
Yes, I was slowing down.
And why were you doing that back and forth?
I was trying to get ahead of her. I was trying to merge.
For what purpose?
Because I knew that at my buddy's house, I have only been there a couple times, and
That's a long explanation. Why were you slowing down and speeding up, and slowing down and speeding up? What were you trying to accomplish?
I was trying to find the street that my buddy
So this
lived
had
on.
nothing to do with what was going on in the other lane. You were like, okay, is this the street? No, this isn't the street. Let me go a little further.
I knew
is this the street?
I knew I had to get in the right-hand lane.
Was this someone that you already knew?
Yes.
Oh, had you been to the house before?
Once or twice.
Okay. Were the weather conditions sort of throwing you in terms of which exit was it to take?
Yes, it was. The snow coming down was kind of blocking visibility.
Okay.
And
how long would you say you were doing this slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, speeding up?
A couple minutes.
A couple of minutes.
Yes, I would say 5 minutes.
And then at one point you realized that you had passed the turn that you needed to make, or you were coming up upon it?
I knew I was coming up upon it. I just didn't know exactly which street it was. It could have been.
Well, you knew the name of the street, but you couldn't see it visually.
Right.
And you weren't using any sort of
No, my
device.
phone had died. I used it all up at the gym, and I couldn't use Google Maps.
You get to the street that you know you're going to be making this turn, and what happens?
I finally see the street coming up, and I've been trying to merge this whole time with my blinker, and at one point...
The blinker was not on.
May I
I'm talking to him.
Your Honor?
No, you may not. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. At one point, they even looked over at me. She saw me.
Wait a minute. Stop. When you say they, we... and you keep slowing and stopping and slowing and stopping, and you see these cars, why not let those cars pass and then get over?
I was about to do that, Your Honor, and then I did notice my street. They kept slowing down and speeding up and ping-ponging, which is why I kept...
So then you go slower because you're trying to turn once they pass you, correct?
I was about to slow down, and they were slowing down at the same time.
Judge, there was nothing preventing me from going slow.
Yes, Your Honor.
You just chose not to do that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Coming up on America's Court.
Show me what it was that you actually found yourself faced with.
Okay, Your Honor. He did this erratic turn in front of Miss Kennedy, causing her to slam on her brakes.
America's Court is back with the case of Colin Controy, who is suing Luke Brown for property damage.
And did you turn left from the right lane?
From the left lane, I merged into the right lane,
May
and then
I interject?
I turned on.
Sit down for a moment, because you're distracting me. Say it again.
From the left-hand lane, I sped up slightly while keeping it within the speed limit, and merged into the right-hand lane, then put my blinker on to turn onto the street.
Okay. You had two options. You were in the left lane. You knew you wanted to turn right. One option was these other two cars are next to you, let them pass, and then as soon as they passed you, you just immediately got over and made your right turn.
Sure.
That was one option that you could have exercised.
Yes, Your Honor.
You chose to turn in front of them.
Yes, Your Honor.
Got it. We have this diagram here. I want you to walk around, Mr. Controy,
Come this way.
and show me what it was that you actually found yourself faced with.
Okay, Your Honor. The purple car would be me.
Yes.
And the blue car would be Miss Kennedy.
Okay.
And we were traveling here.
Yes.
I would say about that much distance, approximately. And the defendant's vehicle was the green one. As soon as we got up here, he did this erratic turn in front of Miss Kennedy, causing her to slam on her brakes.
Okay. And she slammed on her brakes, but avoided hitting Mr. Brown.
Yes, she did.
And then what did you do?
I immediately slammed on my brakes. I did not have as good of luck as Miss Kennedy did.
All right. Mr. Brown, let me have you come over and detail what you feel took place as opposed to what Mr. Controy just testified to.
Well, Your Honor, starting off...
Let's take your car back.
Sure.
Yes.
To start off, they were not this far apart. He was right here, bumper to bumper, easily.
Coming up on America's Court.
Here's the problem that you have with that testimony. You have two people that are saying that's not what happened.
America's Court is back with the case of Colin Controy, who is suing Luke Brown for property damage.
Here's the problem that you have with that testimony. You have two people that are saying that's not what happened. I'm just letting you know.
Sure.
All right, go ahead.
No, absolutely. And by the time we got right here, and I was right here, with my blinker on, trying to merge over, that was spotted, I believe. I sped up, still keeping it within the speed limit, right here, and then turned onto the road.
Okay. You may go over.
Thank you.
I'll try it again with you, Miss Kennedy. Come on up. Now, you describe what you believe took place.
So this is what happened, Your Honor. This is me. This is Mr. Controy, and this is the defendant. We had a healthy space there. I know because, like I said, Your Honor, I was very aware of my surroundings because of the weather. He speeds up. He pulls back. He speeds up. He pulls back. We're maintaining because we can't predict what's going on here. You know, is he confused? And instead of merging, which he did not do a safe merge or blink, put his signals on. He did not. He just completely cut, boom, right in front, and I had to slam my brakes. Luckily, I avoided him. I've got good brakes on my car, but he slammed on me, and so I took the brunt from behind.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mr. Controy, you have proof of the damage as to the 1568?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at that.
I have a police report and a picture of the description of the accident.
You filed a police report, sir?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's court returns.
Did Mr. Brown stop at any point and exchange information with you or anything to that degree?
No, he didn't. Mr. Brown did not even know that there was an accident. He kept happily driving on after he caused this accident.
You hit her car hard.
Yes, I did.
Ms. Kennedy, come back. Let's talk about the damage to your car. How did that work itself out?
Luckily, I'm insured, so that got taken care of, and his covered me, but he's not covered for himself, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. You may have a seat again. Thank you, ma'am. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. Unfortunately, Ms. Kennedy actually hurt you.
What?
Because her testimony was you were at a safe distance behind her. You hit her car hard. You can't be at that safe of a distance and hit that car that hard, which means that it was, in fact, a situation, given that it was snowing and going in the evening, that you didn't take the necessary precautions given the circumstances. Your matter is dismissed. That is the order. Case closed.
Thank you.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I feel very satisfied with the outcome of the case. I feel if they were following at a safe distance, none of this would have happened.
I'm very unhappy with the outcome of this case. Mr. Brown was who caused this accident.